I think people, excuse me, are realizing that there's a lot about banks and credit that they don't know. And the reason you see Barclays and Deutsche Bank down more than the regional banks is because the active capital markets institutions are the ones we worry about. Small regional banks that have idiosyncratic events, okay. But what we really want to know is the big guys in credit. What's going on in the back? You saw Jamie Dimon's comment about the cockroaches. I think he's
Right.
sitting at the top of the food chain. What about the rest of them? That's what we have to find
I
out.
saw a scatter dot chart, which included many of the firms that Paul and I speak to every day, folks. The tensions in the shadow derivatives economy, Chris Whalen. It's about CLOs. It's about words from
Oh, yeah.
2006, tranches, good tranches, lesser tranches. What are the Chris Whalen shadows on this Friday morning?
I think that you just hit the right three-letter word, which is CLOs. They've been very active. The Wall Street Sausage Factory has been running overtime. And, let's face it, investors have been pushed back and pushed back in terms of protections. So, for example, with First Brands, you see no trustee for the collateral. Tales of Bear Stearns 15 years ago, right? Double, triple pledges of existing collateral. So investors, I think, are going to have to start getting much more aggressive to protect themselves if they don't want to have surprises like this.
Chris, coming out of the great financial crisis, I was told, and I think most market participants were told that, hey, the banking system's cleaned up, the protections are much stronger, the balance sheets are much better, the capital ratios are much better, no need to worry. Is that still the case, or do we need to worry a little bit here?
In terms of what you can see on balance sheet and in financial statements, yes, the banks are actually underutilized right now. They're giving back cash. But what you worry about is the off-balance sheet exposures, same old story,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And also what's going to happen with their clients who are in some cases very heavily levered. So,
Right,
it's an episodic thing, but I think it's starting to come to a bit
right.
of a head here because you've had several years of very aggressive deal making. And now we're going to see how the recipe looks as it comes out of the oven, right?
If you're just joining us, folks, Chris Whalen will continue with him. Ben Laidler on deck here with Bradesco BBI, and Professor Schiller will join us on the festivities of Washington. At 2 a.m., the FT published a wonderful summary, Chris Whalen. Here's a quote. I put it out on Twitter. Lawyers for the industry say they have little power to push back against weak protections when willing buyers are so
Right.
numerous. Is it '06? Simon Johnson, the laureate, nailed this in 13 Bankers. Andrew Ross Sorkin nailed it in his book about the crisis. Raghuram Rajan of Booth nailed it in his book Fault Lines. Chris Whalen, is this all about, OMG, I got to get another 200 basis points of yield? Can you get it done by
Yes.
Friday?
Yeah, there's still a lack of duration out there, Tom. When you create too much money, this is the central bank's fault, obviously. People fight for assets and for earnings, and that's what we're seeing here.
What's the next step, Chris? Where are you going to be looking next?
Well, fourth quarter, we're definitely going to be cleaning house in the banks. I have a bit of a scoop for you guys if you want it.
Please, please.
Bill Pulte is getting ready to roll out a major capital increase on non-bank mortgage lenders. It's going to crush the industry. I'm not even sure he's actually looked at it, but they started calling issuers this week to give them the good news. It's a disaster. Absolute
What's the
disaster.
timing on that, and what is the scope and scale of that versus the Chris Whalen history of our modern financial system?
December is when it's going to actually be announced, apparently. Imagine if we made every big bank in the world, Tom, subtract their debt leverage from the
Yeah,
parent
okay,
company.
but Chris, I mean, I got to get to Ben later. Chris, but what about quote unquote leverage private credit? What about the
Oh,
guys that aren't Jamie, the cockroaches that aren't Mr. Diamond or Mr. Moynihan?
well, they're dealing with a private market where there's no visibility and no price transparency whatsoever. A lot of
Right.
investors have been buying stuff that they don't understand, of course. And there's, the endowments, the big pensions, the universities, everybody's been involved. They've been selling this stuff to retail too, Tom. Think
I,
about
I, I
that.
don't disagree. I mean, they all want to make 200 beeps, right?
Well, they're following Warren Buffett's model. Go buy an insurance company. So you have Apollo, Ares,
Right.
Brookfield. Everybody's in this game, and you're going to read about this.
Uh,
They've
okay.
moved a lot of this exposure offshore.